I don't know what side of the road you drive on in your country, but probably right. Most of the world drive on the right side of the road, while a significant lesser portion drive on the left side of the road. But why? Why, you ask? Well, in this video we are going to discover the cause of it together. Without wasting any more time, let's get to the video. Let me get you to the Roman period. Well, it's a must since the founders of our modern world were, and maybe still are, affected by Roman Empire to some degree. In the old times there were no automobiles, as we can all know, but instead there were horse carriages which pulled by, well, horses.
Oh wow, man!
And they needed drivers as well. And since most men needed their right hand to judge. No! What the are you talking about? So while they were traveling, they did not judge. Hell no! Oh, okay. And those drivers needed to protect whatever they were carrying, a nobleman or valuable goods like salt, which was at the time very expensive. Just like today, most of the people at the period were right-handed as well. And to be able to use a sword or an axe against bandits and robbers, drivers needed their right hand to be inside of the road, which meant they drove on the left side of the road. Of course, there are other hypotheses about this, but this is the most accepted and most logical explanation to clarify the left-hand traffic at the time. And since at one point or another Romans ruled a big part of Europe, this custom kept as is until Napoleonic Wars. Now, the fun part. Napoleon, the short guy who defeated the mightiest armies of major powers and devastated half of Europe to be put in an island by the very monarchs whose armies were beaten to death by him. Yeah, that makes sense. However, since this guy was left-handed and with the logic I just explained, because Napoleon was left-handed, he forced and imposed a system which only favored the people like him, which were and still are left-handed people. Let's look at the map of Europe when it was under the control of so-called Republic of France. Here you can see that Prussia, Austria, all of Germany and Italy, Spain and Denmark were under direct or indirect control of French Empire for almost a decade. Alongside with those European countries, France also imposed this system in her colonies. And since the Napoleonic Wars happened roughly simultaneously with the spread of railways, it had a major influence in Europe. Meanwhile, pre-Napoleonic Europe's driving customs heavily varied, even within the same kingdom. Some principalities, duchies used to drive on the right, while some of them used to drive on the left. Only country properly regulated road system was Great Britain, and they favored left side driving since Napoleon had never been able to invade Britain because of lack of a powerful enough navy that can at least defend homeland coasts. Napoleon might have been superior and partially undefeatable inland, but the ruler of the waves was no one but the Brits. Anyway, after getting rid of the short guy for a short period of time, some regulation attempts made, but the mishmash Napoleon left in Europe wasn't going to be cleaned easily. Germans, the Dutch, French, Swiss, Danes and Norwegians used to drive on the right side of the road predominantly. Austro-Hungarian Empire had no regulations until its collapse after World War I. While some parts of the empire were driving on the right side of the road, the Austrians were somewhat in favor of the left-hand driving. But after all, there was no regulation regarding the traffic flow. In Iberia, however, unlike her northern neighbors France, Spain and Portugal were heavily left-hand drivers until switching to right-hand driving in 1924 and 1928 respectively. Of course, there were exceptions like people in Barcelona driving on the right side. Now, Italy. Just like Austria-Hungary, Italians did not have a unified nationwide regulation for traffic flow. Every province had different regulations. Milan, Turin, Florence, Lecco, and Verona were major cities in which the traffic flowed on the left, while some cities like Brescia, Como, Vicenza, I don't know, favored right-hand traffic. Alongside Milan and Turin, it was recorded by Goethe that Rome had also left-hand traffic, just like Naples or southern Italy. As you can see now, Italy was also dominantly left-handed like Austria-Hungary, albeit unignorable minority of RHT cities. You may have seen about Sweden switching to right-hand traffic as late as 1960s. Even though all of her neighbors were right-hand traffic, Sweden incomprehensibly insisted on left-hand traffic. Russia, Denmark, Norway and Finland, after getting conquered by Russians, were right-handed. Dear Swedes, please let us know, why did you insist on left-hand traffic so badly? Did the lovely Brits convince you to stay on the left? Seriously though, if there's any Swede watching now, can you share your opinions or knowledge on this subject? Anyway, Ottomans and his vassals and protectorates, if any, were in favor of right-hand traffic, even though there was not any regulation about it. Well, I think we pretty much summarized the situation in Europe. Let's get to Asia. First,
let's say China. China. I have to have my China.
China was predominantly left-handed until 20th century, but nationalist Chinese revolutions adopted right-handed traffic in 1946. The Communists, which defeated nationalists or Republicans of China, kept the traffic system as is. After KMT retreated to Taiwan, the island had been LHD up until nationalists' arrival. Just like they did in mainland China, KMT switched LHD system to right-handed traffic in Taiwan as well. Today, both Republic of China, also known as Taiwan, and People's Republic of China, aka Normal China, use right-handed traffic. Now, when we get to Japan, things change unexpectedly. Unlike her neighbors, almost all of them, Japan chose and kept driving on the left side of the road. In the late 1800s, after a major reformation, Japanese needed to build railways in their country. After searching for different options, they decided on Britain. And guess what? At the time, just like now, British railway system was running on the left side as well. Thus, the Japanese had trains that go on the left side. Even though the effect of British railway systems is unignorable, Japanese people more or less used to drive on the left side of the road, going all the way back to Edo period, which spans from 17th century up until second half of 19th century. And for the rest of Asia and also Africa, it is pretty much same with the colonizer of the region. For example, South Africa has left-hand traffic today because it was colonized by Great Britain in the past. So, after all, conventions of traffic flow of today's world is almost exclusively determined by a series of chains of events in the past. What was that sentence? That is basically why the traffic flow is different around the world. Don't forget to share your opinions in the comment section down below, and as always, stay curious.